Hey, it's Chris, Liege Games. Let's talk Chronicles of Crime. Let's talk Chronicles of Crime 1900. So, what do you need to know about Chronicles of Crime 1900, right? This is from Lucky Duck Games. This is a 1 to 4 player cooperative mystery solving Sherlock Holmes-esque game where you are trying to essentially a whodunit. Now, it obviously takes a little bit different perspective than a lot of the other whodunits where you are not the detective. You are cosplaying, you are acting as a journalist trying to uncover the mystery in time for the next day's paper. And so that is your role as an investigative journalist to find out the who, the why, the where, and to basically, like they do on the TV shows, tell the cops along the way after you find it out for them. So, what do you need to know? Let's talk. Now, games like this, sort of like the exit games, sort of like the adventure games, even the Sherlock Holmes games, they're very difficult to talk about because at the same time, you don't want to spoil them, right? So, you kind of got to figure out the happy medium to tell you guys, as the people who are looking at investing in a game like this, what do you need to know? What's important? What is going to be of interest? What is going to be of concern? And what is the experience overall like? Now, this is the very interesting aspect of this game is, just picking up the rule book, for example. They literally say, hey, basically just download the app, start it up, do the tutorial. The rules in here are relatively short, essentially like less than 5 pages. And most of it is just explaining some of the iconography that you're going to be running into along the way. Now, blessing or curse, getting into this game, this is app driven. Now you can play it offline for all of you that are worried, and it is, self-contained in that sense. That is also a very divisive thing. Some people like that, some people don't. So take that as a pro or a con depending on which side of that you are on. Now, again, full disclaimer. I have never played any of those types of games that I just mentioned. The adventure games, the exit room games, any of that stuff. This was my first foray into it. So I'm going into it with a clean palette, a clean slate, if you will. Not judging it, not biased for or against it about what I like in these types of games already or what I don't. And I'll tell you right now, as my point number 1, that this game reminds me very much of a crossword puzzle. And hear me out, because crossword puzzles, if you're familiar with doing them at all, crossword puzzles are a mindset, right? You have to have certain view on things because of the wordplay of a crossword puzzle will often lead you in a direction different than just the obvious. And this game gives me that type of feeling from a mindset standpoint. You have to have a different mindset when doing this. It is not a typical board game mindset. It is more of a pure puzzle. However, personally, I am very good at crossword puzzles. But with a game like this, it is a very different experience than any other board game in how it's actually maneuvering and mechanistically working. And I say that both as a positive and a negative. It definitely pushes the boundaries and pushes you in terms of your thought process. At the same time, as a counterpoint, it doesn't always at times feel like a board game. A tabletop game it is, by definition, but it feels much different in that sense because the majority of the game, we put the app on my iPad, for example. In the majority of the game, we are using the iPad to click and click and scan and click and click and click and scan. And so, yes, you're putting out cards and you're putting out cards at, these various locations that are all double-sided, and you're putting them out and kind of mapping the people that are there, or using the main board to sort of put the people or the clues out that you don't have a place for yet. And so you're mapping all of that out in terms of trying to, keep track of it all. And the nice thing about the app is that, yes, you can scroll through the history. You can go back and see, okay, what did that person say? And it's very easy to scroll back. At the same time, sometimes you've got 60, 70, 80 of those pages to slide through, so it can be a little bit tedious. But it is nice in the app sense that it is all self-contained. there are 30 different characters that are used or even reused, depending on the circumstance. This game comes with 4 cases that will last you anywhere between 60 and 90 minutes. So for a relatively low price point, it's got enough content to keep you going. The quality control of this game, like other Lucky Duck games such as Kingdom Rush, is top notch. This is probably one of the best, most concise, easily to use inserts that I've seen recently, period. The cards, the materials themselves are very, very good. So as with the other Lucky Duck products, you don't really need to worry about that. Now, as someone new to the game, though, you have to pay very close attention to some of the iconography that's on these cards, because there are about 4 different icons that you need to be aware of in all these different cards. And if you're not paying close enough attention, like, full disclaimer, we weren't the first time I played it with my wife. Oh, whoops, it's not all this. Oops, it's not all this. We need to delineate. And so you do need to be a little more careful. Again, that's on us. That's not on the game. The game is clear on it. But you really do have to pay attention. So if you are not one of those people that really, really focuses and bears down in a situation like this, because there are nuances, because there are puzzles, because there are little tidbits strewn throughout, as is a lot of these games that they emphasize, this game is not going to be for you. You are going to struggle. There are times in this game where you are going to rack your brain and have no idea what to do, where to go, who to talk to, what to scan, and you will just get frustrated by that. And so if that is of your temperament or your mindset, these types of games are not for you, period. My wife and I found that we are just not very good at these games. Our mindset is just not there. And again, that's on us. You have to have that slightly shifted mindset in order to really grasp this. Or you just have to really like mysteries and whodunits, because that's in a core what it is. Now, how is it scored? Okay, the better and the quicker you do things, the higher your score, because at the end of the day, it asks you, who did this? Why did they do it? What did they use? That, all that stuff. And you're clicking and scanning who you think, and then they give you a report. This is how good you did. This is how many points you got. Overall, we found out very quickly that although it is a very intriguing concept, this is also clearly not a game for us. This is not the type of game that we excel in. So for me personally, I'm probably not going to get any more of these games. Now, my own personal views aside, though, this is a very, very solid mechanic. This is very solid storytelling, and it's puzzly in a good way. But you have to know yourself in these scenarios. Now, is the price point for one of these worth picking up if you've never tried it or played it? I mean, yes, I think Lucky Ducks has done a fabulous job in terms of the overall gameplay production and everything that goes into this, and I think you'll get your money's worth with the scenarios that are offered in one of these sole games. At the same time, this is also a game that I would heavily suggest, with whatever you do, not buying a full set of 3 or 4 of them, whatever they came with, as in the last Kickstarter, if you have not played them before. Because I could very easily see this being a miss for a lot of people if you have not played this style at all. So it is definitely a try before you buy. Also, because of the limited nature of these games and the limited replayability, even though you can play missions over again to try and do better, to try and figure out the stuff that you got wrong without cheating and having the answers revealed at the end, because they give you that option, this is a game that is perhaps gotten on the secondary market as well, or traded for, because as I see them doing a lot with those exit games, okay, here's 3 exit games from you and I'll trade you for your 3 exit games I haven't played. So that is also a good way that you could try out one of these and determine whether or not you want more of them. But the thing I will say is that this is a completely different experience, and so I am all for, and that was the reason I wanted to try this, trying new things in our hobby, so that you get a better sense of where your interests are. And so that is why, although this is not for me, this is a solid game. This will be a lot of people's thing, and they will like it. The other thing that you need to know is there is, like I said, a lot of pointing and clicking. You are doing that repetitively many, many times in one of these 60 to 90 minute sessions. And so if that is a little bit too rote for you, between that and just the sheer mind power that you're needing to do, this is not going to be a game for you. But if you like that thing, this is a very good example of how to do this in a good way. Very good. So, there you go. Short and sweet. Chronicles of Crime, 1900 by Lucky Duck Games. If you're interested, check it out. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with me. Stay classy. See you around.